I can share with you story after story, and some of you have been able to observe these stories of being able to walk in that peace despite what's going on around me. And the only reason why is because I know what is real. I know what is real. And my mind has been trained to follow that. Now, there are moments where the mind wants to do its own thing, but I realize what it's doing, and I just deal with it. And like a little baby, I treat it like a little baby, and I just deal with it and say, you're a good boy. We're not going to go down that road any further. This is not true. I deal with it. So I spend a few minutes walking through things that other people spend months and years walking through. I just spend a few minutes walking. I'm saying all that because this is why you're here. You're here so that you can see clearly what is truth. Now, I know many of you have been taught that truth looks like strong doctrinal teaching. This is not true. Many of you have been taught that it's not a good philosophy or theology. This is not true. I hear people often use the phrase, even some of you have used that phrase, my own truth. Your own truth is never truth. It's not the truth. The truth is never your own truth. Your own truth is just that, your own perceptional truth. It's not the truth. And people within New Age circles like to use that phrase a lot because they're like, well, it's my truth, and maybe my truth isn't your truth. Well, this is very true that your truth is not my truth. Your perceptions are not my perceptions. But that which is. God has never had to defend himself. When Jesus was on trial, he did not defend himself. As a lamb before the shear was silent, he did not open his mouth. The main reason why he did not defend himself is if he had defended himself, he would have placed himself right under the law that is being used in making the judgments against him, and so he would not defend himself. Because he was not under their laws. So what did he have to say? And even if he had tried to defend himself, the only thing that it would have looked like was that he was just trying to spare his own life. It would not have gone very well for him. He still would have been crucified. He could have paid the best lawyer. Still would have been crucified. In that moment, was there clarity of thought for Jesus? Yes, there was. But even Jesus, as awakened as he was, had moments where he was like, God, I don't want to do this. We know of the moment like in the Garden of Gethsemane. I'm just sharing with you moments that we're all familiar with. I can share with you moments that you're probably not familiar with, but just so you know, then you would just think it was a story I was telling. But let me just use the stories that all of you have grown up understanding and knowing, like the Garden of Gethsemane. The Garden of Gethsemane, he's sitting there and he's supposedly so stressed that he's actually sweating blood. His pores are actually bringing forth blood, drops of blood. Because he's under this stress. He doesn't want to go through the most horrible pain you can imagine. I understand. Who wants to go through the most horrible physical pain you can imagine? Who wants to be, to choose to get whipped just up into the point of death, and then you stop, let the person recover, and then you beat them, and then you stop, let them recover again, and then you take thorns and you jam them on their head, and then you let them recover again, and then you just continually beating them almost to the point of death, letting them recover, beating them almost to the point of death, over and over and over. As soon as they're strong enough to handle another beating, you beat them again, and then you stick them and you hang on to the cross. The cross was probably a moment of at least relief for him. Physical relief. Now he just had, the suffering was over, he just needed to suffocate and be done with it. Because that's how you die on the cross, you suffocate. And so he goes through all this, and of course in the garden he did not want to deal with any of that, right? Like he was just like, I don't want to go to the cross. He's this awakened being, but he's still a little stressed out. And yet, he's walking along the road earlier, and Peter's with him, and Jesus prophesies of his own death. He says, I must go to the cross. And Peter says, no, I'll never let you go to the cross. I will never let you die. I will never let this happen. I will give my own life to make sure it doesn't happen. And Jesus says, get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, ego. Get behind me, Peter. You don't know what is real. See, Jesus fully recognized that what was taking place in the physical persecution that led up to the cross was not real. Guess what, guys? We've built an entire religion. Humanity built an entire religion based on what Jesus did on the cross. The entire religion was built on what Jesus did on the cross. And yes, I just said it to you. I'm willing to risk it. I don't have anything else to lose. What happened to Jesus was not real. Jesus's suffering and crucifixion was just a temporal reality. That suffering was but for a moment. And what he accomplished on the cross was not real. I'm not saying that it was not impactful. Please hear what I'm saying. Don't create a story based on what I'm saying. Don't make assumptions of what you think I'm saying. I fully realize that what I just said probably violated your entire lifetime of teaching if you grew up within Christianity. I fully realize that. Huh? You've been with me long enough. Yes, you're here. But there's a lot of people that you can, I'm sure that it violated a whole lifetime of theology, a whole lifetime of teaching, just that one statement. What Jesus Christ accomplished on the cross was not real. What he did, that cross, that moment, that situation, that circumstance was not real. And that brings me to what is real then. Was the impact of the cross real? Absolutely. But the cross itself and what took place leading up to that moment is not real. So what is real? So I've been teaching on this for quite some time. Beck and I were having a conversation about it last night because sometimes we have to be reminded and we have to continually awaken. So we'll catch a little bit of it, and then we'll journey, and we almost forget it altogether, and then we realize it a little bit deeper, and then you keep journeying, and then you realize it a little bit deeper, and you just keep on awakening to this reality, correct? Right? And so this is how it looks for every single one of us. That which is real. So we're going to start with that which is. That which is, when I say that which is, I'm just talking about truth. I'm talking about aletheia. I'm talking about reality. Many of you have heard me say many, many times, there is no truth in a story. There's only truth in the one telling the story. Stories are 100% completely perceptional, right? You are perceiving this thing that's taking place around you, and then you are creating a story about it in your mind. Stories are not true. They might have bits and pieces, facts in there, but they're not true. So this makes sense to you. You understand what I'm saying? When we look around us, we get to see all kinds of things around us that are absolutely beautiful. This world that we live in, the heavens and the earth. This is much more true than your perception of it. I've used the example many times. You see this glass that I'm drinking out of, and to you it is a glass. It is literally just your perception that it is a glass. Your perception is that what I'm holding in my hand is a glass. The truth is, I'm not holding a glass in my hand. It's not the truth. That's your perception. The truth is that this is energy, not just a glass. Because you think of it in terms of a glass, as a glass, you can shut that door if you want.
I'll just sit here.
Okay. Because you think of it in terms of being a glass, this glass can break. It can shatter. Isn't that right? It can be destroyed. So is the glass real? No. It's not real. It is a perception or a concept that can be destroyed. What if I told you that this, what I hold in my hand, cannot be destroyed at all? I've taught this many times. People immediately say, but you just said it can be destroyed. No. I said the glass can be destroyed. The glass is a concept. This cup that I hold in my hand, this vessel that I'm drinking out of, is nothing more than a concept. It's an idea. It's your perception of what I hold in my hand. That somebody took and formed into this object. If I shatter this thing, the glass, the vessel that I'm drinking out of, gets destroyed. But actually what I'm holding is still very much real, isn't it? The glass, the particles that are broken, that are lying on the floor, are still very real. What this is can't be destroyed because energy isn't destroyed. Energy changes form, changes shape, but it's never destroyed. This is basic science. You guys understand? Everybody with me? You have ears to hear. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes. So was Jesus' body that he yielded to death, was it real? Was the suffering that he underwent in that physical body, was that real? When I'm saying real, I'm talking about the truth. It was perceptional, right? It was a perception that he had, physical perception. But was it the truth? So we see the things that we see around us are real in the sense that, yes, they are energy, but they're not real in the sense that this is an eternal reality that is going to take on the tree that I'm looking out outside of my door here can be cut down. And then it could be used for firewood, wood, or to build a house, or whatever resource we wanted to use it for, correct? So it would take on a different form, but even that form wouldn't be around forever, and eventually it would burn up. It would be destroyed, and it would take on a whole new form. But it would still be around somewhere, but in form, it would not be around. Your eye could not perceive it anymore. If we burn all the wood, that is that tree, now you do not see a tree. What was a tree, you now see as firewood. What was firewood, you now see as smoke. Now it's gone. Now what is it? Is it concept to you anymore? But is it still in existence? And the answer is yes, it is still in existence. It's just taken on a different form. It's rising in the atmosphere and it's taken on a different form. Do you understand? So when I say is it real, what I'm really asking you is I'm saying the tree is not real. It is alive. That which is alive is truth. The tree is a concept. The living thing that I'm looking at out here, outside of the space that we're in, is not a tree. It's so much more than a tree. It is an energy, a living energy that has literally proceeded forth from the source of light. It's so much more than a tree. The grass is so much more than a grass. I get lost in the grass sometimes, Elisa. Sometimes I'll look at the grass just blowing in the wind. I just trance out. And I've literally had many experiences where I felt like I actually experienced the grass as the grass, where I was the one blowing in the wind as that blade of grass. I'm in it already. What I am fills all things. But if you perceive me to be this body, you're going to miss who I am. If you perceive me to be a physical container, you'll miss who I am altogether. And see, the physical container is only transfigured in the reality when you rise beyond thought and concept and name and identity. Then the physical body begins to take on different form. This is what the Bible meant when it says that we were subjected to futility. We, with all of creation, subjected ourselves according to our belief structures. Now, what I'm doing here today is I'm dismantling your belief structures and wanting to set you free from your belief structures so that you can actually live again. Because as long as you think you are, as long as you're able to conceptualize yourself, you will not live. If you are a concept, then you are living as a perceived being. In other words, everything that you're perceiving is your reality. Let's stop and think about this. Government, politics, 100% perception. Nothing real. It is not real. People say, well, what about the impact that they make on the economy, and what about the impact that they make on people? They actually have the ability to bless people or to make people poor or rich or whatever. What about the societal impact? Isn't that real? No, it's just perception. I'm not saying I want people to experience what we would call or conceptualize as poverty. I'm not saying that at all. Please do not misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, it is a perception. How do I know this? Because I've sat with homeless people that are far richer than Bill Gates, that were not complaining or sad or downtrodden or upset, but were rich. Rich. They were so rich that no matter what, they literally had nothing left you could take from them. They were so rich that even if you took everything else from them, they would sit with a smile on their face. That's a wealth that you can't earn, that you can't find in the bank, that you can't get on the stock market. That's a wealth. It is true wealth. Is he poor? If you were to talk to most very rich men, they would trade everything that they had to have that kind of wealth. Give it all up to have that kind of wealth. Poverty is a mindset. Wealth is a mindset. I honestly could not tell you how many years it's been. I mean, like, I don't hear, especially lately, and for like 12 years, didn't even take a paycheck. Couldn't have told you how much money I had. Oftentimes didn't have two nickels to rub together. But I was not poor. And when people hung out with us, they never thought we were poor. They never one time thought went through their head, these guys are poor. It's sad. Even if you come over to our place and you look at our little small little quaint house, the first thing you think of is not they're poor, is it? I'm pretty sure you're so wrapped up in love that you're not even realizing how little and quaint and small this little place is. So you can be in a really big place and it's really empty. Okay, I'm trying to make a point to you. I hope you're trekking with me. What is real? I've said it many, 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 many times. I have nothing left to lose. I have nothing left to lose. I have no reputation to be mindful of. I have nothing left to lose. If everything leaves, I'm just out here in this field, butt ass naked. I'll still be the richest man in the world. Fully satisfied. You cannot take from me what I have. That is truth. I am truth. The things you see around you, they're not true.
Who am I? What is my purpose? Is there more to life than this? Ecstasis Institute is relaunching this fall, providing students with the opportunity to explore the depths of who they truly are. An in-person or online institute where people of all backgrounds come to discover truth beyond any religion or philosophy. Awaken with us to your true divine purpose, being. See your vastness, that you are both nothing and everything, the Christ. Realize that you are life itself, one with God, one with all things. We offer 3 paths of study with Silas Valentine, a mystic teacher and mentor who, for the past 20 years, has been guiding students into their awakening. Choose from one of 2 general studies paths, or, if you really desire to dive deep, participate in the mentorship path, where you will receive one-on-one guidance and mentoring from Silas, as well as weekly classes. To find out more information on how you can participate, go to ecstasisinstitute.org. Your awakening is waiting.